Hello everybody, welcome back to War Thunder. I'm Ash, and this is a brief overview of the P-40C and whether it's worth your time. This fighter was introduced in patch 1.75 as a part of the War Thunder's Christmas and New Year's event. And currently right now you can get the aircraft by completing 7 challenges found within your Achievements tab. Now the plane sits at a battle rating of 2.7 and sits just below the PV-2D Harpoon. You might be forgiven to expect the P-40C's flight performance to be similar to its predecessor, the P-36 Hawk. And that's briefly what I'll be looking at today. Aside from that, I'll be comparing it against its main counterpart in the regular tech tree, the P-40E. Now let's start with armament. It has 2 nose-mounted 12.7mm machine guns, and 4 7.62mm wing-mounted machine guns. Compare this to its predecessor, and it carries 70 more rounds of 12.7. The armour is identical to the P-40E with 2 metal plates, 1 forward, 1 behind the pilot, and a single panel of bulletproof glass. On the X-ray, however, both versions of the P-40 are almost identical, with major changes coming in form of a different engine on the P-40E. Now let's talk about its battle rating, which is honestly too high for a fighter of its limited capabilities. Like many US fighters, it loses energy very quickly in manoeuvres. It has poor acceleration, and is an absolute liability if caught in a dogfight. It's easily outturned by pretty much every other single-engine fighter in the game. Its climb rate is mediocre, its top speed is good but not amazing, and the engine is extremely prone to overheating. Its one saving grace is the fact that it has a decent roll rate at medium speeds. Other than that, at 2.7 I feel like this aircraft is currently not as competitive as the P-40E, and the reason is quite plain and simple. It's down to its firepower. While impressive at first glance, the 650 cals versus the armament of the Tomahawk is noticeable. The lack of punch when your rounds hit isn't noticed, especially when versing aircraft that have lots of firepower. But enough talk, let's look at the tactics you could employ with this plane. The first step is to understand your surroundings. I think situational awareness is paramount here, and should be placed ahead of any other tactic, to essentially avoid this. Oh fuck! Welcome to Operation Essen. In this match I show off some key qualities of the P-40C, and we've already got some targets up, so we're going to go ahead and engage them. There's a 109 up there. I think I'll stall out trying to go after him. So what I'll do is I'll just slowly dive, and then you'll see the characteristics of this airplane in a dive. You notice how it's not actually picking up as much speed as the regular P-40. This can be due to the fact that it has a different engine and different cooling system. Even so, try and get the C202. Nah, couldn't kick the rudder in hard enough. So we're going to invert it, put it in a loop, and we're going to try attacking that CR-42. The CR-42 comes up vertical. I've got the advantage here. Absolutely nail him. Continue through my dive towards the 202, and we're going to pull some more maneuvers here. So just catching him slowly, and just as this happens here, my rudder locks up. I find this is a common control issue with both P-40s. Sometimes you can't quite get guns on target. Other than that, no worry, just loop it round again and try in for another attack pass here. Fire off way too many shots than I should. I only get a hit. Anyway, back in the loop again, and you sort of just do this boom and zoom and extend tactic. Try again. Nah, no luck. Try and invert the plane and stop it from crashing. And I get the assist. Now that I've ended an engagement, it is paramount that you climb. Paramount that you get that energy back up to start dogfighting again, to start turn fighting. In this case, I was just doing inverted rolls and then coming down on top of the enemy. But it is paramount that you try and get altitude, because P-40 down below 1,000 meters is not really particularly effective. Skip forward a little bit, and I'm losing some altitude to try and gain some speed here. Flip it in a loop again. I'm going to slot in on this 109E, who is oblivious to the fact that there is a fighter behind him. The other 109 in front of him goes up, and I'm just going to follow this 109 to the edge of my maneuverability, and I get a lucky pilot snipe. Just checking my 6 to find where that other 109 is, or that Heinkel 100, and apparently he is down. And again, start the climb and rinse and repeat. Unfortunately, this thing's climb rate is absolutely dog-balled. It's down to its engine, and it's my biggest complaint, aside from the armament. It's not quite the P-40 that is in the regular tree, and this is kind of a issue. That being said, I reckon this aircraft's good for those who are wanting to collect aircraft, because it's shiny. And it's also a decent plane in the right hands. So we're going to chase these bombers here. They're heading back to their airfield. I'm kind of cautious of this. I want to follow that Heinkel in. Hang on, what's the Heinkel doing? I think the Heinkel's going to go visit the ground. And there he goes. Rips his wing, trying to invert the Heinkel 111. So now we've got a Stuka. And I've got a friendly behind me, and there was also an enemy somewhere nearby. So I'm just going to stick it up and try and avoid the base AAA. The biggest problem I have with this aircraft is its lack of engine power. I know it's got a different engine, but to me it just feels so inadequate. Oop, nearly hit your friendly. Sorry, target practice. The whole thing is that the regular in-tree P-40 is actually quite better, and I'm okay with that, because there's no point giving someone another OP premium. But compare this aircraft to another aircraft that is very similar to it, the P-43 Lancer. The P-43 Lancer has a quicker acceleration, a better turn time, also has 650 cals, and, well, it's just a better all-round aircraft. Although this thing has a higher top speed, it has a slower acceleration. And while you can get away with the P-43 Lancer taking a few hits, this thing, if it's hitting the engine, it will pretty much cook itself to death. Which brings me back to playstyle. If you're the kind of player who is aggressive, who likes energy fighting with an extended boom and zoom, or you gain altitude, you then dive, you use that energy retention to loop over your enemies, and then you extend away from them, then this is going to be the aircraft for you, because it plays identical to the P-40E, except for the fact that the P-40E has a better engine, locks up quite a bit more, has a better dive speed. This sort of is a lesser P-43, and that's not exactly a bad thing, because it is a collector's item. Anyway, targets up, C-202, an Italian aircraft there. I'm going to go into a dive, and you can see this thing does alright in a dive. It's not particularly great, whereas if I was in the P-40E, I reckon this thing would be taking off in excess of 600 by now. Stuka's taking off on the runway. I decided to pull out, because nobody likes getting shot down by AAA. But at the same time, these guys need to die so we can end the match. So roll it into a dive, again, a very, very steep dive, play it at treetop level. We're going to try and avoid the base AAA here. And we're going to target that poor Stuka, and we're going to see how we do. So it looks like from this point in view, the Stuka wants to go head on, so head on it is. Now I wouldn't usually do this with a Stuka, because some carry cannons. Open fire, and aircraft destroyed. But in that head-on pass, there's always a one-off trade. Your aircraft gets heavily damaged, but their aircraft gets heavily damaged. I get hit by some flak. I try and do some evasive maneuvers for that. Just look how thick that flak is, even though I'm below the tree line and their sight line. Pull it up. I've got a dead engine. I need to start firing in order to kill this guy. So I'm going to spray and pray. And aircraft destroyed. Now, you could claim that as a scummy move, but, you know, and to top that off, I got shot down by AAA. So, to summarise my thoughts on a pretty decent and average game, 4 kills, a bit of a SEAL Club kind of activity there, not too much, but it's sort of demonstrated the basics of the P-40. So to summarise here, if you're someone who likes collecting airplanes, then this is the aircraft for you. If you don't want the hassle of having less firepower and less engine power, but the same P-40 airframe, then I'd stay away from it. Other than that, it's a free aircraft and you can't complain with that. Anyway, I'd like to thank my patrons who continue to support this channel, and thank you very much for watching, guys. My name is Ash, and I'll catch you in the next one.